Person 56. So I know you, and anytime I know somebody and I do a reading, I ask the guides. I've made a statement before that, I really want to understand without an emotional connection or tie. So typically the readings are extremely hard for me to understand the symbology because they try and keep it very disconnected from what I know of the person. And so that's how yours started. So the really interesting thing when you were in the sacred space or when I was in the sacred space of my heart, your energy engaged me here. And I typically have this waterfall that I bring down energy from. And instead of it being a waterfall, it was actually an ocean. Like the waves were coming up to this side of this kind of cave that I usually am in, and I could hear that beautiful sound of the tide as the wave breaks on the shore, and then as it gets pulled back into the ocean, it makes those subtle movements as it crawls back down over the rocks. And I was being pulled with the tide, so I was actually astral projecting for a split second, which I don't do. It's a lot more energy involved, and so I was just getting really powerful energy, especially with like the tides and the pull of the ocean, and I could feel my body being pushed and pulled by this energy. So it was really beautiful. And then from here, I moved through the rest of the process and then finally get to the Rainbow Road. And as we go into the Rainbow Road, your energy takes over, and I see you in your physical form on this like white stallion, and you're right back on that beach that you had taken me to in the sacred space of my heart. And so you're riding fast as possible on this horse. You're like galloping towards, and I see the ocean is to your right, and it's just sandy beach up to your left, and we're hearing the waves crash, and you are racing at the speed of light, exerting so much energy and riding on this horse to reach the sun. And the sun is actually setting exactly in the middle of where the water hits the sand. So as you're charging out forward, you're actually charging towards the sun. It's not setting, over the ocean. It's setting like right where that land meets the water point. And so you are moving like as fast as you can to catch the sun as it sets. And so you get there right as it sets, and it's almost like you've done your job. And so you turn around now and you charge back the opposite end of the shore. So now the ocean's to your left and the sand's to the right, and you're charging on this white stallion all the way to the opposite end of the earth, and you're racing beyond all time and space to catch the moon as it begins to rise. And so you get to the other end of the earth, and you get there right as the moon begins its ascent into the heavens. And I get, as soon as the moon starts to move above your head and the stars are out, it's almost like you are done. It's almost like it's like that energy, that intensity, that like filled energetic being that you were. It's almost like now I see your body as this like crumpled, like totally exasperated, no sustenance left. Like you're almost like a jobbly goop of what you were moving the other way, and it's almost like everything is now out of you. And so you're now, the stallion is like walking in the dark of night, the ocean's now to your right and the sand to your left, and the moon is right above you, and it's almost as if you're being tracked under the moon. It's like you're moving at the speed that the moon's moving across the sky. And so I have no clue what this is about, and I'm trying to riddle it out, and I just can't come up with anything. So then I asked for another image, and so the next image I get is you on the Rainbow Road, and you're in an astronaut suit, and you're like moonwalking on the Rainbow Road, and you move towards the portal, and as you move towards the portal, you basically jump onto the moon. And so you're moonwalking on the moon until you get to the very center of the moon, and then you basically get sucked down into the middle of the moon. And so I see you now in this like goddess like attire, and you're spinning in the middle of the moon, and these beams of light begin to move through your body, like connecting you into the moon. So, I get the one that goes straight down from your head to your feet, and then, from the left side of your body to the right, and then it goes diagonally, and all these beams of moonlight start moving through you, and you continue to spin in the middle of the moon until you are fully immersed in the moon's energy. And so, and now I see this representation of you above, back at the beach, and you're in the moon still. This component of you is, this divine kind of goddess part of you is up still in the moon, but then this like hollow shell of you riding that stallion is now down below. And so I start to get this connection. And so I've read a past life of yours before, and I know there is this huge like paganist, the goddess, pagan past life that you had. So I'm getting pulled to the triple goddess, and I think in Greek mythology it's Hecate, where the triple goddess in the Wiccan archetype it's the representation of the three phases of the moon, which is like the three stages of a woman's life, where she goes from maiden to mother to crone, and so I start to get this connection for you that you were like tracking down the moon with all intensity, and I get this feeling that you were like so you've transitioned, right? So I believe this year you're transitioning, quote unquote, into crone, so out of mother into crone, and so I get this sense that you're this part of you that's like lifeless now, riding the horse is this crone, and it's almost like you were trying to gain back that mother, that maiden that's now kind of trapped in the moon, that's now like a past life, it's in your past now, right? And it's almost like there was this vengeful kind of like, almost as if you would be like shaking your hand up at the moon, that phase that's riding the horse. You're almost like, I want this back. I want that part of me back. And almost that's why you're like racing and running to try and catch the moon, and the sun moving away from you. So the moon is also yin energy, which is the feminine energy, but the sun is the yang energy, which is like that power, that heat, that heaven down to earth energy. And so what I get next is you're on the horse again, and now so we've made this realization that this is what's going on, this is the transition, this is the shift. And so now you're on your horse, and you run charging towards this full sunlight, and you basically propel and fly off your horse and get encapsulated now by the sun. And so this to me is symbolizing the balance that's now needed, and it's almost as if it's finding the harmony and the balance in life again. And to me, this is like calling on you to understand that just because there's this, now you're in the third phase of life, moving from mother to crone, it's not as if you've lost or left those past two phases, the maiden and the mother. It's calling on you to reunite with this divine yang energy and bring harmony and balance back into yourself. The crone is the most wisdom-filled, highest perspective version of your life. This is an achievement to get to this place. And so I feel like this sun is now saying to you, call back your spirit of maiden, call back your spirit of mother, and reunite these three cycles of yourself into this crone body, into this, that sounds bad, into this crone phase where you now have the most highest wisdom and highest perspective, and bring these components of yourself, and I see it like braiding you together now, and you have the power now to pull upon all of those life cycles and unite it into this singular being that you are in existence right now. And it's almost like this calling to you to find that which is so uniquely you. And it's like you no longer have to play the mother, you no longer have to play the maiden, you no longer have to play specifically the crone. It's like you can now be the components of each of those personalities that you've had to live through and play out, and you can unite them into this one person that is this highest, most wise version of yourself today, and bring through that unique divinity that you are. And it's almost like you get to pick out the aspects of maiden that you loved the best, and you get to go through from the mother and pick out the aspects of mother that you loved the best, and bring them into this crone life cycle where now you get to play and you get to be exactly the components of yourself who you wanted or who you loved best, and you get to unite them in this singular being. And so that's what I was getting as you're in this golden sun. And so we then move from the golden sun where you're united in harmony, coming back, the yin and yang balance. And you walk down out of this like angled platform out of the sun, and I see on the beach now there's this big golden, and I can't even get the shape of it because it's just radiating golden light, building, and it's your Akashic records. So you move up to it. And so as you walk through the door of the Akashic records, there's all these babies and children around. And this is just confirmation for me, I know, because I know you, and I need to make sure that this is the correct assumption. And I get that this is what is the phase that, because then all those, as soon as you walked in, they all disappeared and they all left. And so I'm getting this, done with this part of the mother phase. And so I know we're moving into this crone phase, and I see in your records there's this huge golden throne, and it has that triple moon phase, the crescent moon facing to the left, the full moon, and then the crescent moon facing to the right, and it's engraved on this big golden throne. And so I call down your higher self, and I ask what's for the greatest good for this person to know at this moment in time. And the higher self takes the version of the crone. But crone has such a bad connotation, right? But it's not. Like, she is the most ethereal, beautiful person. And also the moon is representative of Artemis, and she was the divine goddess over wild animals and children as well. And so I'm just getting all these connections for you, that it's your time to step into a personality that kind of bridges the braid. I kept seeing like a braid, right? That like braids these three lines of your personality into this body that you're in now, and it just is so powerful, and it was so inspiring, and so I really felt just a beautiful, this goddess like essence about you. So with light and love.